Hey. Welcome back, one and all, to the TFL podcast. We are here after having a bit of a hiatus, Arch, haven't we? It's been had a little bit of time off. Well, not really. Well, time off from this, not time off from life.
I'd love some time off, Rowan. I really would.
Gosh, it's end of the school year, and if you haven't caught up with the fact that we're both teachers, well, we are, and it's draining. But we've made time. It's week 13. We are heading into the back end of the regular season. Can you believe it, Arch? It's that we're this far in. It's not much to go really in terms of regular season.
No, look, it's crazy, and then we're heading into the silliness of that is Christmas as well. With just that extra week to think about our fantasy teams around that. It's not, a lot more people are involved in fantasy football come Christmas time rather than just the people in championships and stuff. Obviously, DFS never stops, but it's mental at the moment. I don't even know where I am.
We've got a week and a bit until our summer holidays kick in, so we are keen for that. That's for sure. Bring it on. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us today. You can catch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We have a Patreon as well at the TFL Podcast. We always love your 5-star reviews. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're not watching this, jump on YouTube and watch it. Give us a like and subscribe. We're going to use some of the YouTube features today where if you're watching, you'll see what we're talking about a little bit more instead of just our faces. So join us on YouTube. It's a great place to be. So like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. That is it. Of course, Arch, we've got a Discord chat. We really appreciate everyone on there. It's a good little community we've got going. It's pretty good.
They didn't miss out on us on our little insights. Well, actually, they missed out on mine, so I was absolutely just not around over the last week. I just got back. Do I even dare say where I was? Like, honestly, it's a weird thing to even say. Do you know where I was?
Yeah, on some little mathematical retreat.
It was a maths retreat. Can you believe it?
It's just the weirdest thing that I'd never thought would ever exist, that you could go away for a week with a bunch of other math teachers and drink wine whilst discussing the plethora of ways that you can employ our students to engage in the mathematical realm.
Yeah, no. But the key thing was I got to go to the Clare Valley for free, and we made a few stops along the way. So no, it was a good 4 days. I'm absolutely spent. Just got back today, but
well done. You're here.
Somehow NFL kept going apparently without me, and so I need to get back on.
That's it. So is there any point in me asking, Arch, how the last couple of weeks have gone for you in DFS, or are you that far removed from it that you're just like regaining your steps just like now?
I mean, I don't know if anyone else has had this frustration, but I just had I could not, research last week's games. But the degenerates that we are, I thought, I'll at least chuck a few in the micro. Like if I chuck $5 in, I know who the good players are. I don't really know what's going on. And lo and behold, I end up with one of my better returns on investment for the year.
Oh, man. Silly thing.
Which I was very happy with, but also pissed me off big time. Like, so I didn't put any work in, and the weeks I've put so many hours of work in, it hasn't paid off. So,
you did better than me, you bastard.
But yeah,
I had one of my worst weeks going into DFS last round. Seriously, poor analysis, poor form by me. But hey, it's a 1 week season, and there's another season ahead of us. So. How about we jump in, Arch? How we get into the week ahead? And, have you got the sounds for us? Are you that prepared?
Oh, yeah. Oh! Bah, bah. Week 13 preview time. Bah, bah. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you're excited. That's a good thing. I appreciate that a lot. It's been 2 weeks and I've missed that.
Yeah.
Every time. That's everyone's favourite thing about the pod, I think. Just the excitement that you bring.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not the analysis and tips and know-how.
No, that's right. Just your enthusiasm. That's for sure. We're going to do things a little bit differently this week, guys. Obviously, we've been under the pump and whatnot. We're going to bring to you 4 key matchups that we think are fantastic to stack, fantastic to plan around. And then we'll run through some of the position by position and kind of give you some of the key plays that we think are worthwhile thinking about. That's for sure. So Thursday Night Football, sometimes we talk about that. I think really the only key thing, if you're playing the showdown tomorrow, watch Kamara. He's questionable still. If he's out, then Ingram's a great play. We know Taysom Hill's playing. I think there's always this kind of stuff around how Kamara's going to go if he plays with Taysom Hill, but I think you need to take that with a grain of salt. Kamara's still Kamara. So let's just let's not take too much into that. You got Dak Prescott there leading the way as the top price player on Draftstars. Dak Prescott at 21,000. Really, what we've seen is that the Saints love to stop the run, and they let things go in the air. And Prescott's got great receivers up his sleeves. Cooper's questionable still, but he has come off the COVID IR, so I think they expect him to play. I think they're going to have Cooper, Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb all out there, so play a mix of those as best as you can. Don't forget Dalton Schultz. He's still around the mark as well.
That guy.
In terms of the receivers on the Saints side, I think Taysom Hill's really he's the clear number one. What that means is questionable. It's up in who really knows what it means to be the number one receiver in New Orleans
Did you say
at the moment.
Taysom Hill was the number one receiver there?
Sorry, Traquan Smith. Traquan Smith is the number one receiver. Taysom Hill will be throwing to him.
Real gadget guy, does it all. Taysom Hill.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he throws to himself. So, anyway, it's going to be an interesting slate. I'm not sure how to really tackle it, but it's probably going to be heavy on the Dallas receivers and then bring it back with a couple of those pieces in Traquan Smith, Mark Ingram if Kamara doesn't play. I mean, you can take a shot at a Deontay Harris but for a long play or something like that, but yeah, it gets a little bit iffy. Juwan Johnson was out there more than any other tight end, but anyway. So there you go. This is just some snippets
didn't help last week, did it?
From that.
I reckon I had him for a few. He was like a $1.5 grand guy. I thought could potentially do something.
Yeah.
It's Draftstars pricing is interesting though, isn't it? Traquan Smith still is below Deontay Harris.
Yeah, I know, that's really surprising.
Again, I don't know what's going on there.
This is full PPR we're talking about here. Traquan Smith's going to catch more balls, so the safer floor is there for sure. But I guess what do you want to see? You want to see the ceiling. So Deontay Harris arguably has a bigger ceiling than Traquan Smith. So you got to read into that. That's for sure. Anyway, we're going to look at some games from the main slate now. And so, Archie, you want to share that screen? If you're watching on YouTube, you can see what we're looking at here. Here at Draftstars, here I am, looking at the player pool. You've got Cooper Kupp up the top there, 18.5K. Jonathan Taylor right under him at 18.1. Big name players against really easy teams. We'll come to them in a little while. But the first game that I want to look at here is the Chargers versus Cincinnati. And this game is... I've got a 50.5 over under. Cincinnati with a 3-point favorites. You've got Cincinnati with a 27-point implied total, really, and Chargers with a 24. So, looking at this game, you got to take a couple of things into account. So, one of the things I'm thinking firstly is, well, one, Justin Herbert is a gun, and we know that he has massive games. He really has big games. In the past, what's that? 8 games, he's had 3 games that go over 34.5 points. If you're running that, that's fantastic. If we get that from Justin Herbert and get a fast-paced Chargers offense,
which
then
is what we're getting.
You want that. That's it. So I think Herbert's a pretty good stack here. If you look at him against the rest of the quarterbacks on Draftstars, he's sitting there as the quarterback 6, and knowing what he can do, he has a chance every week to be the QB1 on the week. So Justin Herbert's, I think, a fantastic play here. Cincinnati have been a decent defense, right? If we're looking at quarterbacks and what they've been allowing in the last 5, I'm looking here and seeing that, where are the Bengals have been getting up 21 points per game in the last 5 games to the quarterback. So that's nothing to really worry about. That's pretty middle of the road stuff. And so Justin Herbert's here playing for a fast-paced team. And I want to stack it.
Yes.
You've got Keenan Allen, who's Mr. Consistent, really. Mr. Consistent.
Look at that game log.
It's just 7 receptions, 8, 9, 8, 12, 6 and a touchdown, 5 and then 6. Like he's always
so
around.
five's the floor. Catches, that is.
Yeah, 5
not
catches
targets.
is the floor, 100%. The thing is with Keenan Allen, this is the one thing I think about in tournaments, right? If we want to hit we want our teams to hit 200 plus points. Like that's a goal, right? So if 100K salary cap, we want our players to 2 times their price, essentially.
Yep.
So I'm sitting here looking at Keenan Allen. He's 15.3K.
Is he
I want him to
30?
hit 30. He hasn't hit 30 all year. He hasn't gone above 25 points all year.
Yep.
Does that concern you, Arch? Like when you look at this and go, oh, I want to stack. Yeah, I want to play Herbert. Yeah, I'll play Allen and just kind of chuck it in. He's priced up, Keenan Allen. Can we go to that, or do we have to be mindful about playing him in a tournament type situation? Cash is great, 100%.
Yeah.
Cash is safe as houses.
Well, look, I think he potentially gives you a safe floor as part of a GPP lineup, because I think we still have the opportunity to build those sort of 190, 200-point teams with him in there. If we can get 20 to 25 points out of him, he's not going to destroy that lineup. And it's just where you need to hit one of your smaller priced guys, to make up for that, I guess.
That's true.
I guess the thing is, it's roster percentage that you're probably also taking into account, and we're seeing Keenan Allen starting to rise in popularity. Mike Williams is disappointing people again. Like, I don't know, how did he go last week, Ryan? I was not.
Mike Williams, yeah. Look, last week we saw him kind of fade back again to that sub 10 points.
Yeah.
He had that 20-point game against Pittsburgh, much to my redraft chagrin. Then
he was significantly cheaper last week as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was like 10K. I thought.
I don't know why. Is it the matchup that's pushed him up significantly? To me, it's watch the roster percentages. I'll take whoever's least owned, and go with that. I think there's still I think this is potentially a high ceiling game. We've got the points there, got the pace, but yeah, if Keenan Allen's super popular, well, he's not going to destroy your lineup with 20, 25 points if you don't have him.
He's not going to win it for you potentially.
No. So potentially it's a fade. And this might just be a popular casual players game that just isn't worth playing if you want to win the thing.
Yeah, that's true. I actually don't mind it. Eckler and Herbert stack. Like, we know Eckler is there.
Yep.
Catching balls, like 6 receptions, 3, 6, 4, 5, like pretty good stuff that you can rely on, like, and hitting pretty good yardage totals in the air and getting receiving touchdowns. So an Eckler Herbert stack isn't a bad idea, I think, here, especially if you want to get different. And you could simply go Herbert and Eckler and then leave this game if you don't trust Mike Williams to get up to a 20-point game, or you don't trust Keenan Allen to potentially give you that safe floor. Eckler and Herbert here is pretty decent, I think. I think you can probably roll with just those two. It costs you a fair bit, I understand that, but it means you're just getting a little bit of exposure to this high total game, and then you can move out. You can go somewhere else, and you're still getting correlation between Herbert and Eckler because they've shown that they continue to do that. Potentially, you've got Herbert and Eckler. They might score, like, they've projected for 3.5 touchdowns. Like, you might get 2 or 3 You might get 3 touchdowns between just the two of them.
Yeah.
Like, it's very possible for that to happen.
Yeah. No, and if anything else, Eckler sprinkling through some GPPs with his high price, he might be worth playing. People might be scared off by some price, but
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Jared Cook as well. I'll just mention Jared Cook. If I'm thinking about tight ends, actually, in the last 3 weeks, the Bengals have given up 21.8 points, PPR points per game to the tight end position. So that's another play here that it's skinny, right? Yep. It's not going to be a high roster percentage here on Jared Cook, I don't think. And he's 7,800, which if you catch a touchdown, you're pretty much on your way to 2 timesing that price. So Jared Cook as well, he's out there running routes. He's rarely out there to block. Let's be honest. He is out there to make a splash play, provide something like that. He can get you over 10 points. against a team that is, giving up a lot of points to tight ends. I don't mind Jared Cook here either.
I guess, I mean, to me, it's the price of 7-8. That's starting to head into that mid-price mayhem that I try to avoid with tight ends. That's the only thing where the value you're starting to need more than just the punt sort of touchdown sort of thing. Potentially on the other side.
I told you that he was 1, 2, 3. He's the tight end 16 on the slate. Like, there is, if you look at the pricing this week for tight ends, some big guys at the top. You've got 4 above 12,000. Well, Darren Waller's not going to play.
Yep.
Then you've got another 5 in the 10,000 range, another 3 in the 9,000 range, another 4 in the 8,000 range. Then you got Jared Cook sitting there. So, and really, you've got only 2 in the 5,000 plus, and you got everyone on basement. And then you got 2 in 5,000. You got 1 in the 6,000s, and then there's 3 in the 7,000. So, there's not many 5,000 guys I'm trusting. And
what about on the other side of this game?
Well, that's the other guy. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about Cincinnati. We've got here. We'll start with the tight end because why not? But Uzama is
Uzama. You remember
Uzama? That's right, CJ Uzama.
He's
sitting there. He's sitting there at $5,350. He's had big games.
To me, I'll take the 2.5K difference, and I think the ceiling's there. Obviously, you're seeing the last 4 games haven't been great.
No.
Well, the last 2, I'd take the 6.4, 7.3 for a 5K guy. When you're punting tight end, you just want them to match their salary on Draftstars, really, as a minimum, and you're kind of happy. And if you're spending 5K on a tight end and they score you a donut, you're not buried.
That's true.
Whereas 7,800, if Cook just does nothing, that's going to hurt a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. I hear that, and I'd be happy to take his armors, price here for sure. So we're not too far removed from from usable games.
Yeah,
6.4 3 weeks ago, you'd be happy with that. You'd be fine.
Maybe I need to look into it. Like, what's happened since then? Is there something going on that maybe that's the reason why?
Well, who have they played? They played Pittsburgh and Las Vegas. Yeah, you would have thought that maybe they'd use them in that space. But with the Chargers have been given up. They've given 18.2 fantasy points per game to the tight end position in the last 3 games as well. So, again, you're looking at that and going, okay, Uzama's in a pretty nice spot. The Chargers have been pretty woeful against the tight end position all year, really.
Yeah.
So, no, he's probably my pick of the punt tight ends for sure. If I'm going to pay cheap for tight end, I'll happily go with that. Let's talk about Mixon. Yes. Mixon's coming up against the run funnel defense of the Chargers. Mixon is coming off some huge games. Last week, 35.3 points, 165 rushing yards against the Steelers. The Steelers have just turned into I don't know what their defense is doing. It's just dissipating in front of our eyes. 2 touchdowns last week. He got 4 receptions for -2 yards. I think that's hilarious. Joe Mixon is the play.
Yes.
In this game. You don't have to play him, obviously. He's 16K. You want him to hit 30 points, and he's shown that he can do more than that. But even if he was to hit around that 27, 28, high 20s mark that he's done, pretty much 5 out of the last 6 weeks, then you're happy. He's providing you with something pretty solid. And so Joe Mixon here is a safe play. Again, can he eclipse 2 times? Can he hit 33, 34 points? Yes, he can. Against the Chargers, yes, he can. And as well, what we've noticed actually with Cincinnati is that their neutral pace is really slow. When Mixon's healthy, and if they're in neutral situations, then they're going to run the ball. And they're going to, hold on to the ball. They're going to stop the other team from having possession. And so I think what we get in this game, the likely game script is that, especially if the Chargers don't find their rhythm early, is that you're going to get potentially Cincinnati get up, they run the ball a lot, and then you've got on the other side the Chargers playing quick football, trying to be efficient, trying to push it through the air.
Yeah.
So Mixon's probably my favorite play here. I
Yep.
think that's easy to say. The other thing is though, potentially Chargers get up early and Burrow needs to throw the ball. Higgins last week, really solid. 26.4 Draftstars points, 6 receptions, 114 yards. Finally caught that touchdown. Hadn't caught a touchdown since week 2. So
the
he was a
targets
great
have just
play.
been there. You had to keep the faith.
Yeah, that's right. You have to follow the volume. That's for sure. And that can be said for Keenan Allen as well, I guess. But T. Higgins here is more than 2K cheaper. So, big fan of that. Jamar Chase has been he's been
Quiet.
bad. He's been bad for the last 4 weeks. He's only had 3 catches and a touchdown, 6 catches, no touchdown, 3 catches and a touchdown. Low yardage totals in all of those games. It's been a while since he has had one of those big breakout plays, which we've got accustomed to in that first half of the season. Do you think he can regress to the mean? Like, can he go back to what he was doing earlier in the year?
I think so. I mean, he's a talented wide receiver, isn't he? He's a big time player. So absolutely would love to play him, especially if it's going to be at low ownership, because we've seen how huge he can be with just. He doesn't need huge volume, does he? Like, he just needs a couple big plays and then he's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like what you're saying about how this game could go, and so I'm thinking, maybe a Chase and Higgins you could play and bringing it back with Eckler for that sort of game script, or mixing with the Chargers pass catches. I think that's, if you see it going a certain way, or if you think it's just going to be an all-out, shootout back and forth. I mean, there's plenty of weapons to choose from, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I think the one thing with this game is that everyone's been priced up. You're looking at Burrow there at 15K, Jamar Chase essentially at 15K, T. Higgins probably his most expensive recently at 13K, Joe Mixon's obviously really expensive at 16.2. We're going to have to find some value elsewhere, but I don't know, it's hard to find value on the Cincinnati side here. I'm not probably finding that here. I think on the Chargers side, if we go back to the Chargers just quickly, potentially you could take a punt on a Donald Parham at tight end. You could potentially take a punt at Josh Palmer or Jalen Guyton. Josh Palmer showing a little bit more lately, but they're really, really thin plays. So, but I mean, hey, get different, hit the guy with a little bit of a Herbert Palmer stack. Who knows? Maybe you're on your way there to providing.
I think
a great score.
Yeah, and I think if you're paying attention to, I got a lot of industry talk around DFS. I think we'll probably hear a little bit more about this game in DraftKings circles, because I think the value is a little bit more there. I think looking at some DraftKings price, we still sort of look at that a little bit just to get a bit of a handle on the slate. Is Herbert, Burrow, Higgins, they're a lot more value price wise, whereas Draftstars have made it probably just a little bit difficult with this game for us.
Yeah, they have. Let's move on to another game that we're pretty happy to stack, but mostly on one side of the ball, and that's the Buccaneers taking on the Falcons. You've got a 50.5 point over-under again. Tampa Bay, though, with the 11-point spread. You've got Tampa Bay with 31 implied points, Atlanta with 19. This is a game where you look at the Tampa Bay side, you'd love to play them all, but the prices are high. Tom Brady, 16K. Mike Evans, 15K. Fournette, 15K. Chris Godwin, 14.7. Gronkowski as a tight end, 12.8K.
Yes.
Like, they have just gone all in, Draftstars, and saying these guys are all going to have amazing, amazing days. And you need them to if you want to play them. But that being said, Tom Brady loves to pass the ball, and this game could get out of hand really quick. So it's hard to say, I'd love to play double stack. Let's play Brady, Evans, and Godwin. And then there goes 46% of my
That's so much,
cap.
isn't it?
It's gone.
And then Patterson's not cheap, bring back anymore.
Yeah, 59% then.
Potentially it's your Pitts in tight end, but I feel that he's starting to get schemed out because there's just no one else that they need to focus on to take out their offense. Look, last week this is where my lineups did the best damage, where I was doing Tampa Bay onslaughts. It was Tampa Bay, Lenny Fournette, Godwin, and Gronk were my most common lineups, and they did great except for Godwin. And but the other guys did so well it didn't matter. It was bloody Fournette just did whatever he did. How many did he score in the end? Do you want to
Fournette 47 on DraftKings.
47.1. Like that was just beautiful to behold. But you can't do it this week. They've adjusted, and so again they're making it a little bit harder for us this week. So how do we get a little bit different?
Do we go back to the well with Fournette? Like he has the potential to just run this game out.
Yep.
Really, Atlanta are just woeful on both pass and rush defense.
I think so. Potentially, he might have an inflated ownership because of that. Now, in a way, pumping up his price puts him a little bit more invisibility of the casual punters that they'll look at him. Oh, what did he do? He's got a high 25.9 form. It's sitting there in front of you.
Yeah.
So it potentially he could do really well, but it might just be an ownership thing where in GPPs it just might not be worth playing him if he's going to be 25-30% plus owned. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting game to start to build lineups out of.
Yeah, for sure. It's an interesting one. That's for sure.
I love Cordero though.
Love Cordero. Like Tampa Bay giving up 89 yards per game on the ground in the last 3 games, which is
Cordero a running back though?
He will get some of it. 100% he'll get some of it. Through the air, Tampa are giving up 220 yards per game in their last 3. So, like, there's still 300 yards to be had on average. Anyway, in this game, I'm not saying I want to go too much. I'm definitely not saying playing Matt Ryan. But if there's someone that's going to hold this offense in the palm of their hand, it's Cordero Patterson.
Yeah.
So he's going to last week he was 2 for 27 receiving. It was 108 yards on the ground against Jacksonville, 2 touchdowns. Huge. Dallas didn't do so well. The floor is still low. I think that's the thing. That's the warning with
or is
Patterson.
that just one bad game? What's the floor for
the floor for the other games is probably about 13, 14 points. Yeah, he's had a couple of duds over the course of the year, but you're right. When he is used, and they use him well, they know how to use him. They've shown that he can get around, and if they make it to the end zone, to the red zone, then watch out. Patterson's the guy that they're going to look to first.
And look, for me, I love games against Atlanta. This one not so much because they've pumped up Patterson's price.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's just I love it when it's a clear 1 or 2 options for a bring back. So it's Patterson or Pitts, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. Russell Gage has had 2 decent-ish games. He hadn't needed the touchdown last week.
Do I want to spend $10K on him? Maybe not.
No, probably not.
But anyone else, it's like sure, Zacchaeus could hit 2 touchdowns, but it's just not, unless you can't find anything else and 6K fits, it's an option there. But really, it's Patterson or Pitts. And, I feel that Patterson just is a little bit more, he's so flexible that it's harder to take him out of the game, whereas Pitts, start, double coverage in him, and all of a sudden it is the Patterson game, isn't it?
Yeah, it really can be. That's for sure. So, yeah, Patterson's probably the guy that you prefer here. I wouldn't mind this little Brady, Godwin, and then bring back with a Patterson, and that's 44% of your salary. It's a lot. You've got an average of $9,000 remaining for the rest of your players there, but that can provide you potentially with 60 points. Right,
especially after a down week from Godwin, potentially lowers some ownership, and but potentially this is the cheapest one. A lot of people are playing play the cheapest Tampa Bay, big dog.
It's only $300 difference though, and that's that's nothing. Like Mike Evans, it's interesting. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both had real poor games last week. They actually have. Decent correlation. You can almost
What I like though is when you're doing Tampa stacks, if you get it right, because there's so many different options, potentially the ownership isn't as big as some more of the more condensed target shares that are around. So
Yeah.
there's still enough value if you get different elsewhere that Tampa stacks do well for you.
Yeah, I agree. There's always ways to utilize the Tampa guys.
Yeah.
That's for
Should
sure.
be lots of plays, lots of pace in this game. So I'm thinking that a 50-point game total could easily hit the overs.
That's it, guys. If you want to keep talking about DFS with us, well, we have a Patreon, and for $2 a month, $2 a month. That's
got to be more than that.
No, it's not. It's just $2 a month. You
Could
can join
be.
our Discord and chat with a bunch of other DFS gurus. I'll call them gurus, and
Legends.
that's legends. We're all in this together.
Great.
So
dudes.
just join up. Let's join up, grow together, chat. We'll throw you some different ideas for lineups and stuff like that, cash plays, GPP plays, and really it's just a great place to talk and get to know what's happening on the slates. We talk showdowns a bit more specifically as well on the Discord. So, guys, it's $2 a month. It's nothing. Just come and join us, and you'll make your monies back, hopefully, in no time. That's for sure. All right.
Yes.
The next game we want to highlight here is Washington Vegas, and at first look at this slate, I wasn't really sure what games to really hit on here. Besides those first two, I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go. Well, the bookies, they've got this game at a 49.5 point over under, which I was a little surprised at. Vegas with the 2.5 point favorite tag. So I'm looking at this game going, okay, where's the points going to be scored? But you're looking here at what's been kind of given up in total yards. In the last 3 games, Las Vegas have given up, on average, 413.7 yards per game. Like, that is just huge. There is a lot of yards to go around here. And I'm looking at this going, okay, all right, there's something to be had here. There's something to be had. And if I'm looking at this, I'm going, okay, Terry McLaurin is sitting up the top there. Could a Heineke stack work? Could a Heineke stack work? And he has his days. He's priced there at 13.5K. He hasn't doubled that for a couple of months.
Yeah.
Not since the 4th of October. But out of a quarterback, if you can get 1.5 times, you're still doing okay. If you can get 1.5 times out of your salary there, you're doing it right. So 23.1 2 weeks ago, pretty solid. But I would only play Heineke if you think that this game is going to be one where Washington need to chase.
Yep.
If Vegas get up early and you think, all right, they need to chase, then play Heineke. Because actually, if they're a winning team, or even a neutral pace, they want to run the ball. And we saw that last week with Gibson. Far out. He ran
without
that
a touchdown, right?
Pardon?
I don't think he even got a touchdown.
No touchdown for 26.6 Draftstars points. 7 receptions for 35 yards. I love that. We all let's talk about McKissick and what his role was. There was still 7 catches to be had by Gibson. 111 yards on the ground against Seattle. Now, Seattle's defense, rush defense especially, is rubbish at the moment. We'll get to that in a sec. But still, Gibson was the guy. J.D. McKissick had his opportunities. Unfortunately for the Gibson owners, he was the one around the end zone, got a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown. 5 catches for 26 yards and 30 rushing yards.
Yeah.
It was really specific how they used McKissick, and it was in those particular moments. But in the general game flow, as things went on, it was Gibson that they trusted with the ball. And you can see there, 2 out of the last 3 games, over 20 points. That's what I love, especially when he's only priced at 11.7K.
Yes.
That's great. Like, seriously, Gibson has every opportunity in this game, especially if they start strong and can get consistent drives. Then Gibson's going to be the guy on the ground churning it out for Washington. That's how they want to play. We've seen it over the last few weeks.
Are you concerned that it's a post-primetime game that he might be popular?
Not too concerned, because I think with the running backs, there's some other chalky plays out there. We'll talk about them soon, but guys like your Madison, who's filling in for Dalvin Cook. You've got Jamal Williams out there who's filling in for DeAndre Swift. So you've got these guys sitting there. I think Antonio Gibson will be buried a little bit beneath that. I don't think we'll feel the prime time bring back here with Gibson. So I love Gibson. J.D. McKissic was dealing with a bit of a neck injury. You saw him go out in the game last week. McKissic looks like he might actually still get up for Sunday's game. So be aware of that. Be mindful of that. The other guy, though, that I like on the Washington side is Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas came back from IR.
Yes.
He 3 for 31. Didn't do much. But he was already out there for I think, about 76% of snaps, if I get that number correctly off the top of my head. He was playing 100% for his first 3 games of the year. Ricky Seals-Jones is not going to trouble him. He's out anyway. But so Logan Thomas.
Good job, Ricky Seals-Jones. Like RSJ, you did well,
just fantastically.
But 100%. Now you're nothing. You're nothing now.
That's it. Raiders versus tight end, last 3 games, 17.7 fantasy points per game, PPR points per game given to the tight end position. So Logan Thomas here comes in as the clear number 2 option, I think, in terms of targets. Like aside from the running backs, like I feel like there's a game script thing that goes on there. But in terms of getting the ball down the field, Logan Thomas is going to be a guy to target. There was I think there was a 20-yard, about 20 or 30-yarder that Logan Thomas could have had on Monday night had Heineke really hit him on stride, but unfortunately he that just missed it. But he's sub 10K as a tight end, so I don't, like I was saying, tight end is priced up this week. So getting under 10K for tight end is still on the cheaper end, it feels anyway. But look, Logan Thomas here, if you're playing a Washington stack, I really like him. Terry McLaurin, always a chance to have a massive game. He's priced there at 14.3K. I don't mind that. There's a chance there that he can make a big splash. Derek Carr, though, on the other side, like obviously Las Vegas needs to keep up. And Hunter Renfrow is still here, priced at 12K.
Yes.
Why?
Oh, because he's not sexy.
It's so true. I think I saw that he was like I think he's been a top 12
Look at him.
receiver.
I mean, if he can enlarge his face, it's like an accountant plays NFL. Like
I saw an advert with him on it. I was watching Game Pass, and there he is sitting there on the couch. Oh, this is the Thanksgiving. We're just doing this little Thanksgiving spot with his wife. I'm just like what's the water boy doing talking about Thanksgiving here? I was like, oh no, it's Hunter Renfrow.
I love it. Look, to be honest, someone with a receding hairline just doing that sort of stuff makes me proud.
Definitely. Love it.
Oh, no. Got to pay him some respect, but until then, I guess we just keep playing him.
Yeah, I think so. He's solid. He's the favourite target. Darren Waller's out. And when Darren Waller's out now, we'll get to Foster Moreau in a second, but Hunter Renfrow is just a clear number 1 target. Who else is he throwing to that you can trust?
Yeah,
it's Hunter Renfrow. So I'm very, very keen for Hunter Renfrow as a bring back here, or even just as a standalone option here. A little mini stack between Renfrow and Gibson. I quite like that. I feel like that can add points to your team, that's for sure. So let's talk about Foster Moreau. Now, the big game that happened
8K
was...
they've put him at.
Yeah, they put him at 8K. Yeah, they know that Darren Waller's doubtful and not going to play. So let's go back to 25th of October versus Philadelphia. That was the last time Foster Moreau started. 6 for 60 and a touchdown. Thank you very much. Take that to the bank. So pretty solid. You take that. Hunter Renfrow that day as well had 7 for 58. So there's catches to be had.
Yeah,
without Darren Waller there. Foster Moreau kind of comes in. I don't mind it at 8K. I think that's actually okay. What do you think?
At the end of the day, it's 2 teams that on their day can have an offense that works against a defense that on their day doesn't work. But there's going to be points to be had. This could be a game that, potentially I won't build my quarterback full stacks, but a couple little mini correlations could do well.
What do you think of Bryan Edwards at 7K and Deshaun Jackson at 6?
Bryan Edwards can't get open. The amount of routes that kid runs without getting a target is just absurd. As a dynasty owner, I just hate him. Like,
Fair enough.
there's so much hype on who that guy was going to be, but he's just not getting open. Like, he's running so many routes, yet why aren't the targets coming? He's clearly just not doing enough for the quarterback. Deshaun Jackson, who you just bring up now, why haven't they adjusted his price? Like, I guess
massive game.
I get it. It was one game, but at least
surrounded by pitiful performances.
Yeah, but really, how many? Yeah, I thought at least he'd get into the 7K guys. You know, there's always that 6 to 7K group of guys that have sort of done a little bit that really make you think. But at Deshaun Jackson at 6K potentially is going to be the super popular 6K wide receiver that's going to be out there. I'll probably sprinkle him in a little bit, but I think potentially he's going to be too popular.
Now this is a bit of a deep dive, this one, but DeAndre Carter has been pretty solid for a basement price wide receiver out here. Now look, it's 3 touchdowns in 4 weeks. I get it, but he still had 4 for 42 last week, which is totally serviceable as a basement price wide receiver, just to give you that buoyancy to your lineup. But looking at snap shares now, Curtis Samuel, yes, he's back. He played 24% snap share last week. Okay, I get that, but Curtis Samuel can be that in and under slot guy, and he plays those jet sweeps, a bit of a Debo-esque type user. I actually think he probably takes more away from Adam Humphries in terms of snap share than DeAndre Carter. DeAndre Carter since week 8 has been at a 67% snap share or higher through each of those games. He has been really, really, really solid. I think he's every chance to continue to be out there for at least 50% of snaps, if not more, even with Curtis Samuel pushing his way back into the side. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the receptions, the targets, obviously. Draftstars doesn't show targets for some reason. It's a little bit annoying. But if I'm looking at targets, we've got DeAndre Carter here taking on he's had a 14%, 40%, 90%, 15% target share. So it's not super high, obviously, but that's totals of 6, 6, 3, and 5. Like, that's something you can work with. And he's a guy that they obviously like in the end zone, finding the end zone there 3 times over the last 4 weeks. So Carter, he's worked his way into his offense. I think he gets rewarded for that. I don't mind a Carter cheap play there at all. So that's how we play it. Josh Jacobs, any love for Jacobs in this game?
I don't know, to be honest.
Nah, fair enough. I'm going to say no. We're going to pass on that one. All right, last stack of the day that I'm going to really care about, and it's an intriguing one. And people might shoot this down because the point total is low. Like, Vegas has got this at 45.5 over under with a spread of 3 points favoring San Francisco. And I think that's fair because Seattle have just been atrocious on defense. And San Francisco are putting up points. They are putting up a lot of points in the last little while. So here I think you can find some plays that, are favorable. Brandon Ayuk is for one. I'm going to start with Brandon Ayuk because, let's face it, you're probably not going to stack Jimmy Garoppolo because you're just not. But Brandon Ayuk here has gotten out of the Shanahan doghouse, and he is doing something with it. He's gone, 4 weeks ago, he really kind of stepped back into it. He had 6 for 89 and a touchdown. Next week, 3 for 26. But against Jacksonville, 7 for 85 and a touchdown. Last week against Minnesota, 3 for 91. He is being utilized. And Deebo Samuel is doubtful, which right now highly probably means that he is not going to be playing. Brandon Ayuk steps in to be the number 1 wide receiver on that team. You've got George Kittle as well. Now, he's priced up at 12.8K. Had 3 decent weeks, and then last week was a real dud for you with 1 for 13. But they like him in the end zone. 4 weeks ago against Arizona, 6 for 100, 1 and 1, 5 for 50 and 1, 4 for 34 and 1. George Kittle is in play here. So if you want to stack Jimmy Garoppolo against this woeful Seattle defense, I think it's a very unique play. I don't mind it, but Ayuk and Kittle is where you kind of have to go here. And I think Ayuk's my favorite. He's priced at 12.98 thousand, so 13,000 essentially. He could, with no Debo, Ayuk could easily hit 23 points. I like him a lot, but he'll be chalky.
Yep.
Elijah Mitchell's the other. Do you want to say something about the cross catches?
Keep going.
All right, okay. Elijah Mitchell is priced at 11.9k, which is absurd. He's coming against one of the worst run defenses of late. In the last 5 weeks, the Seahawks have given up the second most fantasy points per game to the running back position in 32.3 fantasy points per game. And guess what? Trey Sermon ain't playing. He's injured. Jeff Wilson
matter if
is
he's
not,
even injured.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Jeff Wilson is not a threat to Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell came to last week. I faded Mitchell because I was like, he's come in. He's had a week of injured practices, limited practices. There's been a lot of doubt around. Comes in and goes for, against Minnesota, 133 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 5 receptions for 35 yards. Puts up 30 points. He's coming up against Seattle, whose rushing defense is atrocious. Give me all of the Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
Seriously, this is one of the best plays on the slate. Draftstars have priced him way too low. Love Elijah Mitchell this week.
Nah, like it.
On the other side, Russell Wilson. Can he return to form? 19.5 points last week, 247 in the air, 2 passing touchdowns, no turnovers. Thank you very much. And 16 rushing yards. I think he's getting back to what he was. I mean, he's getting back to before the finger injury. That being said, DK Metcalf has had a woeful month. 2.3, 7.1, 5.6. Gross. On the other hand, Tyler Lockett's showing something. 12.6, 18.5, 4.3, but 29.2. Anyway, so Tyler Lockett here is at 13.6. DK Metcalf's at 13.8. You can build a Wilson stack, and I don't mind it because I think this game's going to hit the over. I think we're going to get more than 45.5 points. What do you think? Have you got anything to say here, Arch? I know I've talked a lot.
No, look, I like the San Francisco all-out run attack potentially with Elijah Mitchell, and if you compare it with the right Seattle receiver, I like that, and I think potentially it's going to be under-owned as well, so it's a chance to get different. No one has confidence that Lockett is going to score week in, week out.
No.
But if you get the week that he hits, where, you can see there's a 29.2 week, there's a 34.8 week that he's had this season, then you're laughing, aren't you? So, do I want Russell Wilson? No, I don't think I do. I think I won't be building quarterback full team stacks, but as a mini correlation, I don't mind an Elijah Mitchell and Lockett as a chance to have quite a high ceiling without a huge ownership.
For sure. No, I hear that. Bring one more to you. And now I know it's a little bit interesting, especially because the 49ers have given up not much to tight ends. But Gerald Everett has turned into a bit of a favourite of Russell Wilson's. He's had since Russell's been back, 14.7, 6.7, 14.3. His price there at 8.2k. If he was to hit the 14s again, I think he'd be pretty happy with that from an 8k tight end. So you're looking at that and going, all right, he's being favoured. He's only had 1 touchdown in that stretch as well. Like 3 weeks ago, it was 8 for 63 against Green Bay. So Russ is enjoying throwing the ball to Gerald Everett, and I don't mind that. So if you want to get different, it really is. If you want to get different, then Gerald Everett is a guy that's going to be so...
What's
so
the yuck
lowly.
Range of price, isn't it?
It is. Like, no one's going to touch him.
People look to the top 5 and then they scroll down to the 5k range. And so if you're a believer that this is now a consistent pattern of usage, 8.2 is a value. Yeah.
Look, I don't mind it. I don't think I want to get as thin as the guys down the bottom here. No. I mean, without Debo, Juwan Jennings, he had a touchdown last week. Was also targeted for another time in the end zone.
Yeah, well
so
done.
Yeah, he provides something. He's there at 6.5K. Otherwise, though, it gets real thin. Freddie Swain, I wouldn't want to touch. Dwayne Eskridge, I don't want to touch. So, yeah, those guys I'm going to leave out of it.
And can we put to bed Alex Collins and whatever backfield Seattle thinks they're running out with? I don't care what price Draftstars put him out. Like that's what is it? What was that? 1.7 from the main guy.
Yeah, it was seriously gross. Alex Collins, I played him in one of my redraft leagues, and I was like, yeah, he'll start, he'll be all right.
Yeah.
You know, who did he play? He played Washington, and man, he just sucked. He sucked so much. I was like, get lost. Anyway, which means that this is telling me Seattle's going to throw the ball. Like that's how they're going to move. They have to. Russell Wilson put yards on the ground, and they trust Alex Collins and DJ Dallas to run the ball because, it's not pretty whatsoever. So that's probably why I lean Gerald Everett, because if they're looking for short yardage plays, then Gerald Everett's probably going to be the guy to get a few of those. So that's where I sit with that.
The only cause for pause, I guess, for this game is the fact that what if San Fran actually put them to bed, and it's just they run it out, and Wilson can't get anything going, and this could still hit the unders. That's my only worry, that this just really disappoints.
I think totally, and that's why it's a risky pick. But when you look at the rest of these matchups, right?
Yeah,
they're not fantastic. So Chargers, Cincinnati, we talked about. Minnesota, Detroit. I can't see Detroit really putting up a massive fight against Minnesota.
No, and potentially a Minnesota onslaught could work quite well.
Yeah, that's possible. You got the Colts taking on Houston. Again, how are they going to play that? Is it going to be just Jonathan Taylor all the way home, or is it? Is Pittman going to get involved?
JT to the moon.
Yeah. The Philly-New York Jets game is really intriguing to me because Philly obviously put up a stinker against the Giants. Jalen Reagor dropping that touchdown pass. That can go down the hole.
What's Jalen Reagor?
But here we go. They're up against the worst defense in the entire competition. So there's something to be had here.
I'm sorry, if a ball just hits your chest, you bloody catch it. I don't care who's you're playing.
Look, for sure. Jalen Hurts, if he is healthy, I don't mind having a punt on him. Gardner Minshew, though, 8K as a quarterback against New York Jets. This is a flyer cheapie. I don't know. He goes into full. I don't give a when he's just playing. Anyway, intriguing game. Don't want any Jets.
No.
Giants and Miami. I don't mind some of the Miami pieces. Yeah. Arizona, Chicago. You could play Arizona.
Kyler back?
Kyler should be back. Cliff said he's hopeful that Hopkins and Murray will both be back. So keep an eye on the news for that. That's probably why I didn't talk too much about that one, because I think a lot of hinges on that. But again, if Arizona get up, then James Conner's the guy. I think Conner's a good value there. Talked about those ones. Jacksonville, LA, the way to beat Jacksonville the last 3 weeks has just been run the damn ball.
So old Hendo.
And Hendo is injured. So Sony Michel at 8K could be real tasty. Really great. It'll be chalky for sure, but against Jacksonville, who's just given up so many.
Sometimes just having a chalky 8K running back just is what you need to do.
They've given up 149 yards on the ground over the last 3 games, Jacksonville. So
look, my spreadsheet is popping a lot of green for that matchup where the 47.5 point total. There's points to be had, but
mostly on the LA side.
Absolutely, and with a 30-point implied team total, that might not be one of the highest for the slate. So get the right pieces absolutely for LA.
Yeah, if you look at that, Cooper Kupp, I think it's too pricey for me. I don't think I'll go up to him 18.5. I don't. They don't need to throw the ball that much, so I don't think Cooper Kupp's going to get the ball that much. But OBJ's at 13.6. This is the thing. I'm looking at this. I feel like it's just too high.
I'm never clicking the button on OBJ.
Yeah, and Van Jefferson at 11.5.
It's a personal thing.
Yeah, I know. I know that much is true for you. Van Jefferson's the other one that I'm like, okay, he's probably someone I could see myself plugging in.
Here's the thing. Now this is a completely off tangent and just for my own devices.
All right.
We've got Darrell Henderson Jr., Odell Beckham Jr. Van Jefferson is a Van Jefferson Jr. Why aren't you putting the Jr. on there? It's hurting my spreadsheet. Anyway, go on.
All right, fair enough. We'll pass that on to Draftstars.
Yeah.
Anyway, so look, you could take a LA onslaught here.
Yeah, I don't
that
mind
could
it.
work with Michelle and
Bit of a
whatnot. But
Higby.
you have to hit the points, and
Yep.
I just don't know if Cooper Cup pays off at that price. All right, let's run through, just as we wrap up, let's run through just each position and some of the guys that we didn't mention. So I'm just going to give you some short snippets here about some of my thoughts. Obviously, Arch is, he's been too busy
Doing
learning about
maths.
maths to worry about the slate. So I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts here. So looking at the quarterbacks, where are they going? Here they are. Lamar Jackson, 17.7K. He could go 2 times this price just by himself. Pittsburgh have given up 403 total yards per game in the last 3, 195 rushing yards per game in the last 3. I don't trust Devonta Freeman. I don't trust Latavius Murray. So Lamar Jackson's a guy here that almost you could play naked and just go, I'm just going to play Lamar, and I think he's just going to have maybe 250 of that 400 total yards in that one game. So I don't mind it, but you're paying big bucks for Lamar. So that's my hesitancy. I don't know if he can hit 30. Like he needs to hit 30 plus, and he's done that twice in the last couple of months, so it's possible. 3 times on the year he's done that. Next up, Kyler Murray, 17.2. I don't love this. Chicago's only been giving up 273 total yards per game in the last 3. Plus, Kyler just might not need to work hard to win here. So that's the other question mark that I have. Stafford, again, it comes down to what have Jacksonville been horrible against. It's the run. So I don't know if Stafford's really the stack that you need to play, but like we said, an onslaught wouldn't be too bad. We mentioned Hurts. He's always interesting. You never really know what he's going to give you. 16K is steep. Kirk Cousins, though, against Detroit, he's been solid. He's been really good. Like that's like 3 of the last 6 over 22 points or 21 points, and he's coming up against really easy Detroit, who have a
Is he
woeful
needed
secondary.
though? Is Madison just going to be enough for them to just cruise through?
That's my question. So we'll get to them in a sec. Cousins, though, look, sneaky. Tua down here at 13.5. I don't mind. New York Giants have been giving up 239 passing yards in the last 3. He loves playing with Waddle.
Yep.
He's 13.5, so he doesn't need to hit as big as what we would hope for some of the other guys up the ladder here. If he can hit, 25 points, that's enough. That's enough.
Happy
so
with that.
don't mind it. Anyway, the rest of the guys I'm going to avoid. Minshew, if Hurts is out there, I said that before. Running back though, moving on, we got Jonathan Taylor, 18K at Houston. Can he 2 times that? Yes, he can.
Bloody yes.
Yes, he can.
Oh,
he's
50. Just look at that.
He's 2
Makes
times that
yeah.
twice out of the last 4 games.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. So, yeah.
Book
you can
in
do that.
32 points minimum.
Yeah, I can see that. The thing is, though, could I save 2K and just go Mixon?
Yes.
That's probably a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Madison at Detroit. Madison loves being the bell cow. You see that earlier in the year when he had his opportunities.
Yeah.
Who was that against? That was against Detroit. Oh, look at that. Detroit. 7 for 40.
Lock
receiving touchdown.
bugger in.
113 rush yards against Detroit. You play Alexander Madison this week. You absolutely. So here's a go. Chris, who would you take? Taylor, Mixon, or Madison?
You say that. Look, I'll probably still go Taylor just because just the pure talent. Madison still has, this year he's been good without Cook, but in previous years he's struggled. So for me, it's not a complete no-brainer that he I think I'll still play him in cash, but it's more just I'm weary that he has gone missing when he's the guy.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's Detroit, so I'm not too worried about that.
Just take another K or 2 off of him, and then I'll be more.
Oh, but so would everyone else. Najee Harris, 14.3K. He is off my... I'm not paying any attention to him, to be honest. Baltimore only giving up 64 rushing yards per game in the last 3. Najee had 37 total yards last week.
Yeah.
I know he'll bounce back,
as well?
but I don't know if he's going to bounce back to 28 points.
No.
I don't know if he could even hit. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He's getting
Keep going.
tired. Look, this is a rookie. I think that they're tired and their offensive line sucks.
Anyone else in running back land? Quickly,
James Conner, I think he's a
Yeah, you've
really
mentioned him.
solid play. Saquon's interesting. Checkdowns from Glennon. Daniel Jones is not going to play. Well, it's very unlikely he's going to play. So Barkley's the offense. So pay attention to that. Who else do we need to talk about? We talked about Mitchell. I think he's a smash. Gibson, I think, is a really solid.
Jamal Williams.
Yeah, Jamal Williams will be good as the only guy. No Swift. Minnesota giving up 25.8 PPR points per game to running backs in the last 5. 123 rush yards per game in the last 3. Yeah, that's it. So Jamal's got every chance to do well with his price. Myles Gaskin's an interesting one. New York Giants are giving 30 points per game to running backs over the last 5. So Gaskin he gets usage. He's rubbish with the usage.
Yep. And especially if it's a backup quarterback on the other side of the ball that they might have a good lead, and Gaskin could do that. And Michelle, you've talked about if Henderson's down.
Well.
On to wide receiver?
Yeah, on to wide receiver here. Look, we talked about Carp. Can he 2 times, or does he need to? I don't know if he does. Same goes for OBJ and Van Jefferson. I just don't know if they need to pass that much.
Yeah, it's a lot of salary for those guys.
It's huge, isn't it? JJ, last time against Detroit, he had 7 for 124. So, and that was also with Madison going off as well. So, he's definitely in play. I think a Minnesota onslaught is definitely something that you could work in. But again, Jefferson is expensive. So, watch that. On the other side, though, you got Thielen, who is a touchdown machine, loves to find it in the red zone.
Yep.
Last time against Detroit, though, wasn't used at all. 2 for 40. So
you
really cannot. I don't think. Look, this is the thing. I don't know if you can pick both Thielen and JJ.
No.
I don't think that's probably worth doing.
Well, potentially, and this is where if you're in a small tournament, an onslaught works, because in a game like this, one of them will do well. But if you go on onslaught, you're at least getting the piece that does well, and then you're getting other pieces, and you're sort of sacrificing that square. Whereas where a lot of in a small, like I'm talking small field here, where a lot of players will have multiple options not do well, so it sort of guarantees at least one hit there, I guess.
That's it. 6 touchdowns in 6 weeks though for Adam Thielen's pretty nice. His form's great, so I love Thielen.
They pushed him
form.
up a little bit now.
Yeah, they have. Jalen Waddle's a nice one. One of his favourites. He's just running stacks and stacks of routes. 31.7 points last week, coming up against the Giants. So. Yeah, I like Waddle here, that's for sure. Deontay Johnson I also like against Baltimore. They're not going to get the run going. They're going to have to pass. Deontay Johnson's just the guy. He's their favorite guy, and he can hit. He could hit 20-plus points with ease, I think. If they want to keep this tight, they're going to have to. So I like him. I scrolled down a bit. What was that?
You got Moondog next?
Yeah, Moondog. Love Darnell Mooney. Unlikely that Allen Robinson plays. Goodwin's not going to play either. Really, this offense is simply Mooney and Montgomery. I forgot to mention Montgomery, actually. I don't mind Montgomery because he's getting lots and lots of targets and touches as well. Where's Montgomery? Sorry. Montgomery's cheaper than Jamal Williams.
That's against Arizona.
I don't know. So tough defense, but in terms of offensive usage, you love what Montgomery can do, and Mooney's
bloody
want to
join our Discord this week by the time we work out what we're actually doing by the end of the week. So
yeah, that's it. Hit us up on Discord. Tight end. Let's move on. Philly receivers are interesting, but nah. Well, New York Jets are giving up 243 passing yards per game last 3, plus 41.3 PPR points per game the last 5 to the wide receiver position. There is something to be had there. So I feel like you might hit on something. Jalen Reagor keeps getting targeted. He keeps getting used. I know it's absolutely disgusting, but potentially he's the guy to break that 6K tag and go off.
My dynasty team hopes so.
Yeah, we'll side with that. Tight ends, I really think this is the week to pay down.
Yeah. Unless
you're stacking with one of these top guys. Zach Ertz has had good form, but I'm going to avoid that. Goddard is, like we said, New York Jets are giving up plenty of passing yards, so Goddard's there as an option. Freiermuth comes in as the number 1 in Pittsburgh. However, Baltimore only giving up 12 PPR points per game to tight ends in the last 5, so be wary of that. I feel like he'll be popular, Freiermuth, because of he's just got that rookie sensation vibe around him.
Yeah,
Everyone
Komet.
wants to jump on. Komet, 8.6, coming off an 8-reception game. Plus those other receivers unlikely to play. Still has to compete with Jimmy Graham around the red zone, though, which is stupid. Just give Komet the ball. Jared Everett we talked about. Tyler Conklin is good for those short yardage plays. Detroit are giving up 16.5 PPR points per game to Titans in the last 5. Didn't do too much against Detroit, though, because obviously last time Madison and Justin Jefferson were pretty much all over that. 2 guys here that I'm happy to punt on, and that is O'Shaughnessy. Dan Arnold is gone. Dan Arnold was the leading target for Trevor Lawrence, which did my head in. Way back at the beginning of the year before James O'Shaughnessy first hurt himself, he had 8 targets, 6 for 48. They've shown that Jacksonville are very happy to use the tight end. James O'Shaughnessy, I think, was going to be one of those punt tight ends throughout the year if he didn't actually injure himself on that 20th of September game. So O'Shaughnessy here, Dan Arnold's out for 4 to 6 weeks, upsets the Irishman. I like O'Shaughnessy a lot. He'll find his way into my lineups. CJ Uzama, we also talked about it, can have those big games. So there you go. There's a little bit of a run through. Arch, anything else that you want to add to the show? You've done well, I think.
You've done brilliantly, old
Oh,
Roslyn.
thanks so much.
For someone who's, like myself, come in with a busy week with just clicking buttons to keep the show moving for you.
I appreciate that.
So appreciate your thoughts. I think we're going to do another week of good DFS this week. So get your lineups in. Start thinking about it. I think if you want to continue the conversation, head over to patreon.com/TFL podcast to join our Discord channel. I think we've got a good handful of guys in there at the moment. Most days there's something going back and forth. It certainly is a growing community, so we want to get more and more people in.
100%. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We hope that you have a profitable and fantastic week in DFS, and we'll catch you next time for Week 14.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.